had to grab me at 30 and hit the deposit up right in my bank account. Fuck as you think about, I be with killers and demons and robbers, though none of us play around. Swear we gon' lay you down. I keep them sleeping on couches and floors to living so good, you think you gon' take me out. Many niggas is stupid, I swear to God. LG, y'all niggas, you know we been ballin'. Don't wanna cause problem, that Cedii dimes. Let's see who can get to the finish line.
It's your boy Cedii before the Brooklyn guy, aka Cedii Dimez. And we back on the video, man. Back on the reaction, man. Back on another style again. So, what the hell is the money, the rich guys, the men with fucking most you heard? I say we back on the video. Yeah. Hold on, guys. We back on another kid nerd video, man. It's been a fucking while. You feel me? This nigga hasn't dropped in a minute. Today we gonna react to the deadly war that started UK drill. 6'7" versus 150. 150. I heard the 6'7". I never really heard 150, but fuck it, we finna find out today. Let's get to it, guys. Let's get it.
UK drill has come a long way since its roots, from its underground and heavily Chicago-influenced start to a now more commercial and cleaned-up genre. If we was to tell people back in 2012 that 10 years later that drill artists would be getting hundreds of millions of views and be getting nominated for Brit Awards, they'd think you're crazy. But it's happened. Let's look into how the genre.
So I'm guessing like back then it was like only the ops listen to the songs.
Nah, it's like, you know how New York drill, nigga, like no New York drill rapper would get nominated for no award because they're just mad underground. Only like niggas from the hood listen to them. Yeah, like that.
Even started in the first place, and how a deadly feud in South London got us all the way here. Let's get into it. Before I get into this video, I just want to give a quick shout out to Emma Sleep Beds for sending me out one of their devout to send to accept, because if it the first from memory for
he black
in this surprisingly
that looks like good
difficult to adjust to this one quite quickly. If you do want to grab for 50% off, you can even use an additional discount code product Chicago with some early artists.
Damn.
So the drill sound as a whole originally started in Southside Chicago with some early artists to create the sound, being big Chicago rapper Chief Keef and the now deceased Little Jojo in the early 2010s, which is a whole different story for another video. But it didn't take too long for London to start adopting the sound. Hey. One of the first UK drill songs to come out in 2013 when a couple guys from a Brixton gang called 150 dropping a song called It's Crackin', which was a heavy diss track to another opposition gang called 6'7", who were from an area called Brixton Hill. 6'7" even came back with their own diss drill song, using the same beat as the song It's Crackin', and named it It's Fryin'. But it wasn't always like this. Just a few years before this, 6'7" and 150's area used to be cool. These times, 6'7's area, Brixton Hill, used to be called BHB, which was an abbreviation for the Brixton Hill Bullies, and 150's area, which is situated in the Brixton estate called Angeltown, used to be called Gas Gang, with both Brixton Hill and Brixton only being separated by one road. There are even some early tunes with both 6'7" and 150 members on the same track. But in the early 2010s, this all changed and parts of Brixton started separating. Stuff started getting patchy in the area in 2010. Around these times, Gas Gang, who are now called 150, were having back and forth with another gang located around 7 minutes away in an area called the Lower Toes Hill, and the gang in that area was called TN1. But on July the 2nd, 2010, this back and forth took a turn for the worse. An affiliate of the TN1 gang, a 15-year-old kid who went by the name Little Zach, was making his way towards his pupil referral unit, which is pretty much a school for kids who have been kicked out of their mainstream school, normally for bad behavior. Unfortunately, on some bad timing.
Bro, you hear the way they call your schools, nigga? Mainstream. What the fuck?
I was gonna say, bro, isn't it embarrassed to, I mean, you know, you do what you have to do, but isn't it embarrassed you naming your shop after like a street, like a public street?
What?
Like your gang after a public street? Like, will you name your gang after a public street?
I mean, if that's where you're from, though.
Oh, yeah, but because it's like, at the end of the day, bro, you're claiming the territory.
Yeah.
And surrounding territory.
That makes sense.
So it's like...
Because when you name your like, where you used to live, fucking Washington Street.
I'm like, yeah, niggas like, niggas, where you from? Like, nigga, I'm from Washington Street. Nigga. like, I'm from Washington Street, nigga. What the fuck?
Out of their mainstream school, normally for bad behavior. Unfortunately, on some bad timing, 5 members of Gas Gang were also making their way towards his school. Before Little Zach could even get to his school gate, the Gas Gang members jumped out on him. And with Little Zach probably being so terrified and not thinking straight, instead of running into his school, he tried to make a break for it on the road. He managed to get around 100 meters away, but was eventually cornered in the back garden and was repeatedly stabbed to death. This death was especially sad due to Little Zach, just a day before his murder, gave a speech at a London conference about how he wanted to leave the gang life behind him and move on. Little Zach also suffered from sickle cell, leading him to be
You think like that maybe was like the reason why they might want him dead?
It was just, it's probably just.
Cause that's mad cool. Like,
it is mad coincidental, no bullshit. But nigga, they just bad timing, bro. No bullshit.
Very small for his age. 5 teenagers were sentenced for this murder, one being a big Gas Gang rapper on the scene called JJ. He was actually identified literally by his nose poking out of his hoodie on the CCTV. The murder of Little Zach made politics weird in the area, including people from Brixton Hill who are civil with both TN1 and Gas Gang. This situation, alongside a few more situations, caused a massive divide between Brixton Hill and Brixton. Around the same time, the Chicago drill scene started popping off, with the whole of London being tuned in to big Chicago rapper Chief Keef, which started slowly influencing the UK rap game. In 2012, both 6'7" and 150 started to become...
Yo, I was just about to say that, nigga.
That's good.
Nah, he's really that nigga, bro. Inspired UK drill, New York drill.
That's actually, I mean, that I know of, one of the first niggas that in drill that went international. Like, UK.
Yeah, hell yeah, nigga. Hell yeah, nigga. He basically started all this shit. I ain't gonna hold you, bro.
True, yeah.
Bro, what?
He made a popular.
UK drill,
he made a popular
New York drill,
at least. Yeah, he made
and
a
now
popular.
New York drill transferred to.
Started with.
Nah, because there was not niggas still doing it at the time. But
But he was the first nigga out of Chicago.
First nigga to make it out.
He got that, but no other nigga made it out before him, bro. No one did, bro. It was him.
Oh, cause not Chicago.
It was him and Lil Reese then Dirt.
That shit was a war zone back then, nigga.
Nah, he's that nigga, bro. Don't funny shit. He's that nigga, bro.
The UK rap game. In 2012, both 6'7" and 150 started to become more active in the rap scene, with 6'7" having a couple rappers like Scribs and Dimez, and 150 having a few rappers as well like Sticks and M-Dog, rapping on old school UK rap beats. But around 2012, you could already start to see some early influence, which started showing when 150 rapper Sticks dropped a song called Psycho in 2012. He starts the song off by saying Sosa Baby, which is the same way how Chicago rapper Chief Keef would start off his song. The following year in 2013, this developed into 6'7", making probably the first drill diss track, with 6'7" members, Scribs and Monkey, making the diss track towards 150 called Really in the Field. A month later, 150 rappers, Sticks and M-Dog, came back at 6'7", with the drill diss track that I mentioned previous called It's Crackin'. In 2014, more and more back and forth tracks between the two gangs continued, and in the same year, other gangs in South London start to jump on drill beats as well, including 6'7" jumping on the same beat as the diss track 150 aimed at them called It's Crackin', turning this into the first UK drill beat. But this was also making the streets hot at the time, and less than a couple weeks after 6'7" dropped their diss track called It's Frying, it was clear that this feud was just more than music. On February the 25th...
You know, like, when the Christian shit started over there, or it's always been...
Bro, in the comments, bro, they be telling me in the comments there's no Crips and Bloods in the UK, nigga.
Oh, so they just represent their game?
I guess the colors represent their territory, but they be some, like, I don't know, I be seeing videos of them niggas actually jacking that shit, like, they Crip and shit like that, so I don't know, bro, I really don't know.
So they just do it because they want to, or like...
I don't know, cause there was, I was watching the video, there was, like, niggas, it was, Diggy D's hood nigga. Mm-hmm. They said they Crip whatever, and they would have blue flags since they was little, bro. So I don't know. I really don't know, nigga. In the comments, they said there's no Crips and Bloods in the UK, but...
2014, a 6'7" member took a trip to Angeltown Estate, which is territory of the 150 gang, until he saw a member of 150 and started trying to run him down. A 150 rapper who went by the name SQ just happened to be driving past at the time and spotted the altercation and tried to hop out of his car and help his friend out. When SQ approached the 6'7" member, he was stabbed multiple multiple times, with a stab wound hitting his heart, leaving him in critical condition, and sadly later dying from his injuries. Around the same time, 6-7 started gaining.
Please don't get me fired up and please don't make me lose it. Please don't make me, please don't make me, please don't make me lose it. I ain't with the disrespect, but
gaining more notoriety in the music scene, mainly due to a rapper from the gang called Scribs. But at the time, Scribs was on a couple cases, which in 2014 eventually ended up with him being banned from making music. But this didn't stop him, with Scribs changing his name to LD and dropping the biggest UK drill tune to come out at the time.
So he got banned and then changed his name and made more
that's what
songs.
these niggas, that's what they be doing. And that's when they start putting on the mask and shit.
Oh, so they can't really say, oh,
They
that's
can't
not
really
me.
say, yeah. And you feel me? Long sleeves, all that shit.
It's done numbers, and people in the UK that never heard of drill certainly heard of it after this song.
Now,
And this really puts 6-7 on the map. After this, the group will get millions of views on pretty much anything they put out there. While 150 was starting to struggle.
He was like, and we did it again.
Oh, yeah.
That nigga's tough, nigga. He's tough, bro. No bullshit.
Certainly heard of it after
Nigga
this
with the
song.
dreads.
And this really put 6-7 on the map. After this, the group will get millions of views on pretty much anything they put out there. While 150 was starting to struggle for views. But while 6-7 was starting to pick up momentum on their tracks, the streets were also starting to heat up. In 2015, a 6-7 rapper called SJ ordered a minicab from Kennerton in South London to an area called Herne Hill, also in South London. But halfway through his journey, his cab was spun by police. And once him and the cab were searched, he was found in possession of a revolver and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Unfortunately, this was deep into when 6-7 started seeing success. But this didn't really stop the gang's success. And 6-7 really turned drill from an underground sound to a genre which will be listened to all over the country, which was definitely clear when 6-7 was nominated for Best Newcomer in the 2016 Mobile Awards, which was a big statement for the genre. But while 6-7 was starting to receive musical success, 150 was starting to fall under the radar until a 150 rapper called M24 started to jump on the scene, jumping on a feature with rappers from another gang in Brixton called Scandal and AM, which done numbers. And he really started putting on for his gang, especially in 2019, featuring other members of his 150 gang on his songs, getting tens of millions of views. But while 150 was starting to rise up in the scene, 2019 proved to be a deadly year for this war. On March the 19th, a 6-7 rapper called Leaks was driving through Clapham in South London with his brother. Now, Clapham is territory of a gang called Cedii, who are closely aligned with 150 and also beef 6-7. Leaks' brother, who was driving at the time, turned into a street called Clapham Park Road when they drove into traffic. Two members of the CT gang spotted Leaks in the passenger seat. One packed with a started to pursue the car and tried to spin his whip to avoid the traffic and get away. But unfortunately, while doing this, he crashed into a traffic light. One member of CT then lunged
You cannot drive.
into the driver's seat while the window was open and stabbed Leaks' brother 3 times, while the other member started whacking him with the walking stick. The 6-7 rapper Leaks actually managed to pull a walking stick from the back seat and tried to protect his brother, but in less than 10 seconds of confrontation, it was too late, and Leaks' brother sadly died from his injuries. The saddest thing about his death, Leaks' brother, who was a father at the time, wasn't even involved in the gang life. A couple months after
from that picture, he even looked like he was a hood nigga, bro. I was about to say, I don't even think he was a hood nigga, but he already said it, bro. That's crazy, bro. I called that shit too in my head.
He was a father at the time, wasn't even involved in the gang life. A couple months after this, an 18-year-old affiliate of CT called Stomps was also killed, and the 6-7 member called Giant was convicted for the murder and sentenced to life. Around this time, 6-7 started falling off quite a bit on music, especially after 2 of their main rappers, called ASAP and LD, were locked up for a county line operation, which was shipping crack and heroin from South London to more than an hour away in Basingstoke. More 6-7 members were also booked in 2019, running different county line operations around the country. And another 6-7 rapper called ST just got sentenced to 8 years for possession of a revolver. It was starting to seem like 6-7's time of being the king of drill music was now over. At a time when 150 rappers like M24 and Stick were starting to make moves in the music scene. But while 6-7 was starting starting to become more quieter in the scene. Affiliates of 6-7 from a nearby estate called RuPaul Park were starting to make some noise on the scene, with two rappers from the estate called VD and Dopey dropping a very rude song directed towards mainly 150 and CT called Local Shops. This song came with a lot of disses towards someone called S1. S1 was an 18-year-old CT member whose life was sadly ended in August 2019. S1 alongside one of his female friends were walking through Brixton when they were approached by a RuPaul Park member who went by the name TY. S1 and TY were seen conversing on the street, which ended with the pair going their separate ways. Around 30 minutes after the first altercation, S1 and his female friend were starting to make their way towards a nearby house and happened to walk past TY again. But this time, TY started to follow S1 and eventually approached him. This altercation was much more violent than the first, which ended in a fight with S1 being left with multiple stab wounds and sadly dying from his wounds. But after the success of their first song, VD and Dopey were starting to hit the booth more throughout 2019, and with RuPaul Park becoming more of a smaller bat, they were gonna start carrying the 6-7 name on their song. But in September 2019, their music career was left on pause after VD and Dopey got into a situation outside the KFC in West London, which ended with VD stabbing a 17-year-old to death. VD and Dopey were both sentenced for this murder, but Dopey ended up beating the case. VD wasn't that lucky though, and he was convicted for the murder. By this time, drill has started to become more commercialized, and even though some other 6-7 members were starting to release tracks, they weren't really popping off as much as they used to, while the top drill artists like Tion Wayne and Russ Millions were dropping more catchy and rhythm-based drill songs. 6-7 were still dropping more lyrically based and violent songs, which wasn't really with the times in 2020. But this is where 150 rapper M24 really started to pop off, even jumping on a hit song with Tion Wayne called London. A new rapper from 6-7 called PR started making some noise on the scene though, but again his songs were more lyrically based and also really violent, which ended with police taking down a lot of his tracks due to the feds saying that his songs were inciting violence, especially due to the spout of violence that was going on in Brixton at the time. But when we compare year by year crime statistics, Brixton crime has actually went down quite significantly, with it mainly due to the rundown estates in Brixton, like 150's block called Angeltown, being knocked down and rebuilt with nice modern apartments, making the area look almost unrecognizable from its former state. But unfortunately, the estate still has a big issue with gang violence, with it still being the area where 150 members reside and chill, which also means it's a hotspot for enemies who were looking for 150 members to go to, which was clear on August 20th, 2020, around 6 p.m. On this day, 150's rapper called Stick was celebrating his birthday on the Angeltown estate. So a rapper called 16 Shots from an affiliate gang of 6-7 took a trip to the Angeltown estate that day.
Nah, chill, bro.
16
shots? Alright, hold on. Let's see what he did. Nigga.
Was celebrating his birthday on the Angeltown estate. So a rapper called 16 Shots from an affiliate gang of 6-7 took a trip to the Angeltown estate that day. When he arrived, he managed to find 150 rapper Sticks and stabbed him in his face. But when 16 Shots tried to make an escape from the estate, multiple 150 members were catching wind to what just happened and started to chase him out the estate. But once the gang caught up to him, the rapper 16 Shots was stabbed repeatedly, leaving him with a total of 33 stab wounds all over his body in front of herds of soldiers. Paramedics and police arrived at the scene after multiple calls about the incident. When the ambulance arrived, they tried to treat the wounds, but because there were so many, paramedics had to strip him naked in front of the residents of the estate, with 16 Shots constantly begging for a blanket to cover him up. But the medical workers soon realized that the injuries were much worse than they thought, so they had to airlift him to a nearby hospital, where he sadly died later on. Sticks, along with a few more 150 members, were originally arrested for the murder, with some being released under investigation and some being released with no further action. But at the end of last year, after the feds had investigated the murder, another 150 rapper called M-Dog, alongside a few more members, got charged for the murder and are currently awaiting trial. M-Dog was actually quite a big pioneer for UK drill music, with him jumping on one of the first ever UK drill songs, which is sad to see him go out like that. And with with another triple shooting on the Angel Town estate last year on September the 12th, leaving an affiliate of 150 called Chino dying, shows this beef has no signs of ending soon, despite both groups seeing musical success. Nowadays, UK drill is in a completely different place to how it was in 2013, with new age drill artists being judged more on their musical ability rather than what they've done on the streets. But it's impossible to have a conversation on the pioneers of UK drill music without talking about 6-7 and 150's launch of the genre. It's been your boy Kidnad, and peace out.
Nigga blood, dude.
My nigga Blad, nigga. That shit was fire. Man, I hope y'all enjoy this reaction, bro. This shit was, you know.
Make sure y'all give me the 200 subscribers, man.
Yeah,
I didn't.
I mean 300, my fault.
I didn't
300
even know
subscribers.
M24 was even from 150. That's crazy, nigga. That was a good documentary. I learned a lot, bro. No bullshit, nigga. You feel me? Shout out to the UK, man. 5,000 killies on the way, you heard. We out of here, gang. Bow, bow.